before at a giant yoga session, commencement like this one. It's not often that that happens. And I guess it was Jesse who called it a not so normal college. I guess it isn't so normal to really celebrate the passion in learning and the questions that come out of experience rather than the answers that come from those in the know at a commencement. And I guess that's what makes us a not so normal college. This is truly, in my mind, what higher learning is about, higher education. So I would like to start by acknowledging those in the room who are family, friends, partners, and spouses. And I'd like to ask you to stand, please. We are acknowledging the village in the room. Without your support and nurturance, we might not be here celebrating this wonderful occasion and these wonderfully accomplished mentors for us all. So next, I want to congratulate our graduates. You represent us, the mission of the college, so well. I was so moved as I heard the content of your thinking and the work that you produced from that thinking. Thank you. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the staff and administrators in the room who work tirelessly. I'd like those of you to stand, even if you're graduating. All acknowledge our academic vice president, Dr. Marianne Reif. And finally, but not least, I want to acknowledge, congratulate our amazing program director, Dr. Sue Fleming. Together, please. This is a group of amazingly talented, creative, and deeply committed advocates. You spoke so well about that. Mentors, guides on the side. They serve as models of exactly what you talked about us needing today in education. Truly inspired teaching and learning that is based in a deep commitment to developing thoughtful and compassionate human beings, something that we have left out of our education. Theirs is the kind of teaching and learning that challenges us always to move beyond the limitations of our individual worldviews and perspectives, to go to that place where we have to explore the very heart of human experience, and so that we might actualize our potential. Teaching and learning that engages us in an exploration of what it means to truly make a difference in our communities and the world, not just to talk about doing that. As I have said so often since I arrived here at Goddard, I am deeply impressed and moved by the wisdom that lives in this community. The wisdom of the faculty that tells us, this faculty that tells us that education is most meaningful when it is responsive to the individual student and when at the same time we must create a vibrant and supportive, challenging learning community so that together we might realize education as a vehicle for a more humane and just society. The wisdom of this learning community is evident in each of our graduating students' senior theses. In all of your work, we see reflected not only a commitment to supporting individuals' process of learning, but to a deep desire to transform education in our small d democracy. And I just want to say something about that word transform, because we use it a lot without really thinking about what it means. Transform means to transcend the form in which something exists. That is revolutionary. You cannot just transform by wanting to change. You must transcend the form in which it exists. Your titles speak to that level of transcending the form in which things exist. And forgive me, I'm just going to name a few, but I was so moved by how that showed up in your work. Teaching as a political act while doing change work in education. How do you not recreate the systems you resist? The most important question, how many of us start out wanting to transform or revolutionize and then become subsumed and hold up and reify those systems without even realizing that we do so? Voicing for change, multicultural programming as a vehicle for exploration for culture and identity. It becomes the very vehicle. We do the programming, that becomes the vehicle. We don't just think about what a program would look like. Student empowerment pedagogy. Well, that means if you empower them, you gotta then listen to them. Bridging culture to close achievement gaps. We're noticing that they exist. And music house, redefining music learning. I think I'm sorry, the graduate who just spoke, Amy, about art in education. And we think about those things as separate, as you can put art into education, as though it's not a central part of the living process. These senior studies are but a few examples of these commitments, the most important commitments educators can have. There are so many more, so forgive me for not speaking them all, but as a graduating class, you collectively embody the mission of Goddard to advance cultures of rigorous inquiry, collaboration, and lifelong learning, where individuals take responsible and imaginative action in the world. Your work is so important because of its relevance today. Our education system is broken. It is more segregated now than at any time since Brown versus the Board of Education. Its focus on teaching to the test has led us away from nurturing and challenging the social, moral, and emotional development of human beings. We've moved from No Child Left Behind to the new No Child Left Behind, the race to the top. These become simplistic, meaningless, polarizing, and often divisive political slogans that turn our attention away from the very serious problems that plague our education system and human society, and turn us away from the complex kinds of solutions that are so necessary. Those slogans belie the complexity of the work that actually needs to take place. Hope for true and lasting change lives and lies in the kind of work you are doing, in the critique and the passion that you bring to it, and those two things need to live together. And so I want to congratulate and acknowledge you for your insights, your understanding, your accomplishments, and for making a choice that ultimately serves us all. You haven't gotten a degree to enter a profession. You've earned the responsibility to transcend the form of that profession, because you have seen things not as they are, but as they could be and as we need them to be. You are the people who can create new ways of teaching, learning, and constructing knowledge. You understand that in a democracy, education is a political act, and that our political system will not and cannot change unless our education system changes. You therefore have an exciting, challenging, but very daunting job in front of you. Very daunting. This revolutionizing and revolutionary work is not easy. It's the hardest work there is. In the Goddard residency community, you've benefited from peers and advisors who share an understanding of how education serves a vision of a human-friendly world. It's why you have felt so seen and heard. Many of you, as you leave this residency community, will be in systems, schools, communities, institutions where you may not be heard in the same way, where you may be the lone voice advocating for this much-needed change. A recipe, a perfect recipe for burnout and loss of faith. Recently, I visited with alumni in North Carolina at an event hosted by one of our trustees and a renowned educator, Jane Vella. In talking with these graduates, it became clear to me how important regular sustenance is to revolutionaries and resistors who are working to transform systems. This group of North Carolina alumni, to which you now are a member, has decided to stay connected and to gather occasionally to support and challenge and encourage each other in the important revolutionary work that they are doing. So, the challenge and the opportunity in front of you is to keep the passion fire burning, to build intentional community for yourselves, with friends and colleagues with whom you are connected, aligned, and in solidarity. The work you are doing to bring forth the vision you hold must be nurtured and supported daily. The good news is that you know how to do that. You've done it here. We've seen you do it. You have been an integral part. This community does not exist separate from you. You've been an integral part of this most amazing learning community that you were at a loss for words to describe, yet you helped to create it here at Goddard. We look forward to staying connected with you. We will stay connected with you. You can bet on it. Part of it is selfish. We look forward to reaping the fruits of your innovations so that they can make their way back here to inform and continue to transform what we do here at Goddard. So my heartfelt congratulations to all of you. Waiting for. I'd like to invite the graduates to come up and join me. I would also like to invite our new Chief Advancement Officer, Lauren Moy, who's going to help to keep us connected.